Hey, everybody, welcome. I wanted to talk to you today about how you can always have something to write about. And I'm going to be talking in terms of writing, but it really applies to speaking as well. So, how you can always have something to speak about, because if speaking is a very powerful way to grow your business, and you should be able to speak at the drop of a hat. Somebody says, "Could you speak this afternoon?" You should be able to say, "Yep, I can do that." But let's talk about writing. So, again, the topic is how to always have something to write about. So, of course, you know your basic topics, you're an expert, you know what your expertise is about. But you need to find specific topics. You can't just always talk about everything that you know. So I'm going to give you a couple of techniques. Number one, ask your subscribers and your followers what questions they have. And they will tell you, you won't get a lot of answers, but you will get some answers. And those are great topics. In other words, these are the things that people are worrying about, or they don't understand and they need help with. And so that's a great time, a great way for you to find out what people want to hear about. And that's very compelling. So you ask what questions people have. Number two, look in Facebook groups. Now, the reason I recommend Facebook groups is that I want you to go past your existing subscribers and your existing followers on social media, and you can do that in Facebook groups. So you need to find groups that obviously have your target market in them. There are a lot of them. And see what people are asking in those groups. And as you start collecting these questions, whether you're asking your subscribers or your followers or in Facebook groups, start writing them down. Keep a spreadsheet or a document of these questions. When somebody asks you a question, like a client or a subscriber, just, you're not asking them, but they just come out and say, I need an answer to this question, then write that down. Now, I'm going to give you a really specific technique of how to deal with something like that when someone asks you a specific question. And the reason I want to mention that is because it's not good for you to be spending free time answering people's questions. And sometimes it's not a big enough answer for you to charge for. You could answer it in 5 minutes. So what I recommend is that if you can answer it in 5 minutes, do it by creating a blog post. So, and the way I recommended keeping track of some of these ideas besides a spreadsheet or document is, if it's going to be appropriate for a blog post, just start a blog post, create a title, write a couple of notes, and then save it as a draft. And then you can always go back to it. It's a great technique to always have something to write about on your blog, because you just build this list of drafts. And so, again, when somebody asks you a question, you can create a blog post about it. And what's so cool about that is you're answering the person's specific question. They get what they want, but now you have some content that you can share with many people. I'm going to give you an example of something like that that I did on my website that I've been able to use again and again and again. I just keep on sharing it with people. I wrote about it in my email this week. And so it's just an easy way to take the individual questions and make them available to many, many more people. So that's what I recommend for that. So now, another place to find questions is from other people who are doing research on what people are asking about. And if you don't know what PLR is, it stands for Private Label Rights, and it's content that companies, small businesses do research on, and then they write, and then they sell what they've written. And the thing is that they don't want to create a product if people aren't going to want to buy it. And so, they might create little courses for you. They might create blog posts. They might create articles, whatever kind of content they might create, but they're writing content and they do good research about it. So you can just do a search for, PLR on your general topic, and you'll see what people are offering. And those topics are great things for you to write about. Now, you can, if you want, you can buy the PLR and use it as a guide, and using PLR is a great way to always have something to write about. I definitely recommend it as long as you have a reliable source, or a good source of PLR. Some PLR isn't that good, but a lot of it, I've seen quite a bit of, I know quite a lot of people who create good PLR. It's a little bland, a little general. So what you do is you rewrite it in your own voice with your own experience, and then you and then you change the title, and that gives you something to write about. ChatGPT is another place to help you write about a topic once you know what the topic is. So I'm trying to tell you how to find what to write about. So ChatGPT won't help you with that, but once you do your research, whether it's PLR or these collecting questions, as I've been explaining, you can go to ChatGPT and ask it to help you write. But again, that also needs to be rewritten. So, that's just one thing that you can do. So let's see what else I have on my list here. So those are the places to go. Another place to go is books on Amazon. So for example, again, doing a search as if you were looking for a book on the topic you're an expert about, and you can look at what the book covers, but because hopefully the person who wrote the book did some research too, but you can also look at some of the comments, and some of them, especially, it's a funny thing, but especially looking at the negative comments, this didn't cover this, which was needed, or I wanted an answer to this and it didn't answer the question. So sometimes the negative comments will be a really great way for you to find what people are asking for. So just to summarize here, you ask your followers what questions they have. You look in Facebook groups. When someone asks you a question like a client, you keep track of that, and then PLR and Amazon books. So those are some places to find topics. As I mentioned, as you collect them, you either keep them in a spreadsheet or a document, or if they'll make a good blog post, just save it as a draft blog post. So what can you do with all of these topics? So blog post is only one thing. You can create freebies out of them. So if people really want to know something, it's a great freebie that people will want, and that can lead to sales because you should have an upsell to your freebies. You can create quick videos and put them on YouTube. You can create courses and information products, so something much bigger. You can use these topics when you speak out on a podcast, when you speak on a summit. So all of these things, it's like you're doing this amazing research about what people really want. And that's the key for you to grow your business, is to have answers to the questions that people want. I was reading today that selling isn't about convincing people, but about showing them that your solution solves the problem that they already believe they have. You're not trying to convince them that they have that problem. They already know what it is, and you're just trying to show them that your solution kind of agrees with their view of the world and will help solve the problem in the way they're looking at it. Not trying to change people from, in this example, he was talking about how, liberals and conservatives, they kind of stay within their own media, so we're not trying to convince people to cross over. So in the same way, you're not trying to convince people of something that they should believe something different, but that what you're selling, it coincides with what they're believing and answers that, helps them in that way. And so all of these things, by doing research on the questions people are already asking, that helps you give the right answers. It's very common, I've seen this a bit, for entrepreneurs, especially experts, the kind of people that I help, to just feel like what I have is really valuable, so I'm going to give that out to the world without really seeing if that's what people are asking for. And so sometimes it is really valuable, but you have to frame it in a way that's more like what they're asking for rather than the way you think of it. Okay, let me know if you have any questions, and I will put the link to I'm going to put a link to this blog post I wrote. So it's an example of that. So a client asked me she wanted to build her list. I was advising her to build her list, and she wanted to create a summit, like a quick summit. And so she needed to contact people who she didn't know. She wanted to invite speakers, and she wanted to invite speakers who had bigger lists than her. And so this was a hard thing for her. So I gave her this 5-step process, and it was just part of my coaching for her. And it worked really, really well for her. She was able to get kind of like, quote, big names. She was really excited that they were willing to speak at her summit. And so these 5 steps, I made them into a blog post. I have the link in the Facebook group as one of the comments to this. And it's been so valuable. I incorporated it into workshops. I've just sent so many people to this blog post because it's just such valuable information. She asked the question, how do I reach out? How do I get these people who don't know me to speak at my summit? And I gave her these 5 steps. And like I said, I would never have really thought of that on my own as a question that I should answer. Do you understand what I'm saying? So, but because it came from her, I realized it was valuable. I gave her the steps, I created the blog post, and I've just used it so much ever since. So again, just find out what you ask people what they're interested in, and then look at what other people are asking in various places, what people are saying, and then just keep a list of topics, and you'll always have something to write about. Okay, bye-bye, everybody.